We didn't quite get full elimination of the income tax, but we did get a reduction, a phased-in reduction. Where we'll end up in 3 years is with a single 4% bracket of all taxable income above $10,000. What do you think?
Mississippi was denied an incredible opportunity because there are 12 states where the governor, the legislative leadership has said, we're going to zero. In a year and a half, New Hampshire will be at zero. They've been working on going to zero for 12 years in North Carolina. It's the model of clicking it down using triggers that Phil Gunn, the speaker, put into the legislation when he passed the bill to go to zero, not 4,
right,
which is nice. It's high for an income tax compared to other states that are going to zero. There are 12 states on the road to zero. North Carolina, South Carolina, Louisiana's got one coming down a bit. Doesn't go all the way to zero yet. They need a Republican governor to make that happen. Arizona, North Dakota, now Iowa and West Virginia and Kentucky and Nebraska. And Mississippi could have been at the head of all that list because your House voted overwhelmingly with bipartisan support. Phil Gunn, the speaker, and Tate Reeves, the governor, campaigned on going to zero, was a strong supporter. I met with Reeves and with Phil Gunn, and then we had conference calls with all the groups that could help on educating people in the state and the business community. The leader of your Senate refused to come to any of the meetings, sent somebody who never said anything sometimes, and then killed the bill in the Senate. We were not allowed to pass the bill. It passed with more than 2/3. I mean, it's like 100 to 14. It was an overwhelming number in the House. It both raised the income tax over to zero and cut the food tax on food, groceries, and the Senate leadership killed it, although the governor believed that the votes were there in the Senate if they'd have allowed a vote. So Mississippi got a little tax cut compared to the other states, but it should have been leader of the band, and hopefully we can get this fixed because the votes are there in the Mississippi legislature to move quicker than some of the other states.
Yeah, and I think this has been a very high-profile issue in the race for lieutenant governor, who, of course, presides over our state. And the challenger, Chris McDaniel, has made that a high priority in his campaign plans, in his plans as lieutenant governor. So this is going to get taken up again. We tried it again this past session in 23, and honestly, we just couldn't get any traction. It didn't look like it was going to get through the Senate, so the House kind of just let it die. But you're seeing this pay dividends in states that have eliminated their income tax, have we not?
Yes, and there are 3 things. One is some states are at zero. People move to states that have zero state income tax, Texas, Florida, Tennessee. And then there are 12 states that have single rates. And one of the victories that Phil Gunn and Reeves had was to get Mississippi to move to 4%, flat rate of 4%. Now, it's too high, but a single rate tax is much easier to reduce because everybody understands that everybody benefits equally. It's also much more difficult to raise because the politicians have to go, I've got a great idea, you're all paying for it. Everybody. They go, wait a minute, tell us about this great idea. As opposed to Bill Clinton and Biden and Obama, who said, I've got many ideas, but only 2% will pay for it. So you guys go out of the room. This might be a little loud and unpleasant and blood on the floor, but it's not you, so it's okay. And of course, as soon as they mug the guys they said they were going to, they turn around and want to tax energy. That's everybody. And they want to tax other, the goods and services. And when they tax corporations, 70% of the corporate tax paid by workers in lower wages. So they really do always tax everyone, but they try and pretend they don't. So single rate taxes are easy to reduce, difficult to raise. Mississippi's moving to the single rate tax, but it could have been on a path to zero, except Delbert Hosemann, your leader in the Senate, killed it, wouldn't let a vote come forward.
He didn't support it.
We tried very hard to get him to help, and he's the guy who killed it. He's the reason Mississippi is behind all those states I mentioned rather than in front of them. As you say to workers, come here, and to students, don't leave. We're going to have a zero income tax. Oh, and by the way, businesses, your CEO and all your employees will have lower taxes come to Mississippi. It's the biggest, best calling card for jobs and the way to keep kids from leaving their home state.
He did make it clear that he opposed full elimination of the income tax, and you're right, there were Senate leaders as well that were in that camp that essentially just did such that the bill just didn't get through the Senate and didn't get to the governor's desk. The governor certainly supported it and would have signed off on it. Yeah. But I think we're going to see another shot at that. I really do. I think we'll see another shot at that coming up. Something that I've been researching a little bit is just this balance of who pays taxes at the federal level in this country. So the recent report I saw from the Treasury is that the top 1% paid more than the bottom 95%. And I looked at that as it just distributed out across the income levels. That's incredible, yet the president says that's unfair and that the 95% are paying what the top 1%? I don't get the logic.
The American income tax, personal income tax, federal, is very progressive and much more than the European taxes. The Europeans have the VAT, which is a big sales tax of 20-25%. On everybody,
right.
And then they have things like Social Security taxes on everyone. Now, remember, that's the personal income tax. People still pay Social Security taxes, They pay care taxes, they pay taxes on energy, and so middle income people and lower income people, they all pay taxes. But the personal income tax is very skewed, and we could actually have much more economic growth if we took that rate down and moved to a single rate. When Reagan was president, he got us
totally
to
agree.
15 and 27, the two rates.
Totally agree.
Unfortunately, Bush let it drift up, and the Democrats have torn it and moved it up pretty high to where state and local, some states are going to be paying more than 50% now.
That's crazy. Grover, really appreciate you joining us today. Very insightful, sir. Keep up the good fight. Let's get those taxes down. We're going to work on it here in Mississippi some more. Thank you.